Oh, that's cool. And like you told you were just studying, so how about language? Because I read in your profile that you kind of speak multiple languages. How
Yeah.
are you doing it? Which language do you speak?
So I'm doing okay. I mean, I think I don't forget the languages even if I don't speak them often. I mean, obviously Spanish I speak all the time because I live in Mexico. Then English, well, I use Cambly especially to like practice, not just for like. Obviously, I teach, but I don't. I'm not gonna forget it. I grew up with it. And
Yeah.
then I also learned Italian. I have a student who is an English student, but who is Italian, so that helps because I can explain things in Italian. And
Oh, that's
then
cool.
yeah, I also speak French, but the French I think I can't forget it. It's impossible that I forget it. And the other one that I don't speak very often is Romanian. Now, Romanian
Wow.
is not a very common language. It's more like
Yeah.
I learned it just for fun because I lived with a Romanian family, so that made me learn it. But
I
basically,
think
I don't
cool
practice it.
more. I think about the romantic romance language, like Romania is the like that nobody else speaks.
Yeah, it's not very common, but it's very easy to learn, especially if you already speak other Romance languages. So I speak French, Italian, and Spanish, which are Roman languages, Romance languages. So Romanian became very easy to learn because of that, because I have, the relation between one language and the other.
I see, I can tell. I think it would be the same if you chose Portuguese. I think it'd be pretty easy
I think
because
Portuguese is even easier. Yeah.
and also, yeah, it's like it's more common than Romania, but of course you had your reasons. And yeah, I think I'm studying practically the same language. I'm also learning Italian. Like I'm still at the
Yeah.
very beginning, but I think it's very similar to Portuguese. So sometimes I kinda I mix things up.
Yes, it
And
is
like
very similar.
I would not say the same for French. In French, I'm already able to have a conversation, just like that. And I'm trying to improve as much as possible because I really love to speak French. And also, I'm trying to learn German. I think that's the hardest one.
I think that
It's
would be the hardest. Yeah.
yeah. In fact, like English and German, they've shared a lot of common
Hmm.
vocabularies. But it's just you've got the cases, you've got like it's a lot of different things.
Complicated
Yeah,
in English, I think.
it's totally complicated. Like in English, for example, you only got like one article, and that's so easy. In fact, I think English was the easiest one for me.
I think it is the simplest one. So I mean, it's difficult maybe in the beginning because it sounds nothing like Romance languages. The pronunciation is really different. And then we don't have so many common words.
Yeah,
But if you
we
compare
don't.
it to other languages, then it's very simple. The grammar is very simple. A lot of things we don't have masculine and feminine like in Romance languages.
That's easy, so easy. You don't have to worry about if they like water is el agua, la agua,
Exactly.
you know,
Exactly.
so that's easy.
But then when some Romance languages, we have some things are masculine in one languages, but in another language is feminine. So if you
Yeah.
speak one language and you translate to the other, sometimes we mess up because the masculine and feminine, we kind of switch them around.
All the time. I think that's why I stopped studying Spanish, because I think it's very similar to Portuguese. And in my mind, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not like, I'm never gonna stop speaking Portuñol, because it's so
Mhm.
similar that I think, like, in my mind, I'm speaking Spanish, but maybe I'm like switching some words, you
Yes,
know.
you're mixing it
So
up.
that's why I stopped and I went to like I started to study French. French for me it's easier because like I don't think it's similar at all. Like
No.
the sounds, the vocabulary, the pronunciation. For example, you've got one word with I don't know 10 letters, you only pronounce four. So
Mhm. Exactly. So like
yeah,
the S's are not pronounced, or maybe the E at the end of the word is not pronounced if it doesn't have an accent. So a lot of
yeah.
these things, there are so many letters that you don't pronounce or you pronounce them differently. So it is very different from other things.
Yeah, like I think it's the same for Spanish, but in Portuguese, it's kind of easy to read because you pronounce everything. everything
Mhm.
you have to pronounce. So I think it's easy to know. It's not like in English, for example, when you come across a word for the first time, you kinda like right now I already like I imagine how to pronounce, and most of the times
Mhm.
I nail it, But for example, there's a word like bury, like to bury someone.
Mhm.
Like the first time that I saw this word, I was like, oh my gosh, why bury and not bury? you know?
Exactly, yeah. So like we have vowels, but not all the vowels are so defined. Like we say A, E, I, O, U. It's simple. And then
Yeah,
for English they have A, and like different things.
yeah. But I think that's the beauty of the like learning another language. It's cool when you finally start to understand something. At least for me, I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm understanding. That's so
Yeah,
cool. Like, yeah, it's a great feeling.
yeah, it's nice. Plus, especially like when you get to speak with native speakers and you realize you are understanding everything and you are being understood. So that's also
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah, like right now in English, I kind of take for granted because like I've worked so hard, but right now of course, I don't speak like a native, and also sometimes, like right now, it's kind of becoming like, most of the times I understand pretty much everything, but I kind of take for granted, I kind of lost the magic, like, oh my gosh, I'm speaking
Mhm.
English, but in French, it's happening like I'm still like all the time that I speak to someone, I'm like, oh my gosh, I understood. I was able to talk,
It
kind of.
takes time. It takes time,
Yeah, it
exactly.
takes time. It takes time, but it's great. It's totally worth it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, plus it's like very satisfactory. Like once you feel like you can speak, even if you're not speaking like 100% correct, it motivates you a lot to keep going.
it does. It does. It's great to be understood. You know
Yeah,
how it is. You know the feeling.
yeah. But obviously we do have to be like really patient with ourselves and like sometimes there are things that are just like only a native is gonna get. So especially that kind of stuff, you really have to work on it, and it takes a lot of
Yeah,
time. Like sometimes it can
and
take years, not just months.
I know. I,
It's normal. Obviously, it's normal.
But thankfully, at least for me, I already learned that you have to live with that. No, you don't have to beat yourself
Yeah,
up if you don't understand
and you
something
shouldn't
that
be
it's
asking
easy.
yourself that either.
At least for me, like the place that you lie down to sleep, and the word bed, like to be in a bad mood. For me, it sounds the same. I know it's different. The context always saves.